The Tao of Self-Confidence, Episode 17. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of outstanding women finding their inner journey to self-confidence 5 days a week. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com to check out amazing blog articles and our killer resources. Hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan. And today's episode, I have an amazing woman here. We met through a book that we co-wrote together, which is called The Anthology, and it's going to be published and launched sometime in November. And this is a book that you must get just because, there's about 20 women or a little over 20 women who are sharing their stories, empowering women out there to live the life that they want. And that's what I've always wanted, right? Just for the woman who's listening to this to be able to make a decision and say, that's it. I want to live my life according to my terms, because if these women can do it, then I can do it as well. One of our guest today is also part of the book, The Anthology. So be on the lookout for that, right? We'll be promoting it. We'll be talking about it more. We're going to have more guests here talking about this amazing book. And her name is Dawn. She's a coach, a speaker, and also an author herself. And Dawn, if you can come out and maybe fill in the blanks a little bit about yourself to the listeners.
Yeah. Good morning, Sheena. It's great to be with you. I'm Marie Westmoreland, and I live in Asheville, North Carolina. I've been here in the mountains about 10 years. I'm retired from the Air Force, and I worked mostly in human resources, and I was a first sergeant and an Air Force recruiter. So I've been serving people for a long time. I love working with people. Today, I've written a book called The Empowered Whistleblower, A Practical and Spiritual Path to Personal Power that just went out in May. And I become a coach, a speaker, and an author, all because of some disempowerment that came into my life. So when I got out of the Air Force 10 years ago, I worked in different entrepreneurial jobs. And then I decided to go work in the Veteran Affairs. And when I worked in the Veteran Affairs, I noticed a lot of nepotism, the hiring of family and friends, and a lot of prohibited personnel practices that are not allowed in any government agency. So with 22 years background in HR and multiple degrees in HR management business, I reported them, and what happened, fast forward, I went through 2 years of horrific bullying, some of the worst bullying in my state of North Carolina. And we settled, the Veteran Affairs and I settled back in March of 2014. And I'm one of those very unusual people because of my background working in HR. I knew how to handle the equal employment opportunity case, and I knew, how to document, and I knew how to win, basically. So we settled 2 days before the hearing, the Equal Employment Opportunity hearing, and I signed a settlement order without a gag order, meaning that I refused to sign their statements that would prohibit me from talking about my story. So that's why I become a coach, because of the horrific bullying that I went through. And I actually, after 2 years of the bullying, landed in the mental health ward. And I talk about it when I talk, speak, coach, even when I write blogs, that sometimes the biggest bullies are the bully inside us. And so after 3 days in the mental health ward, after dealing with some pretty horrific experiences, that's when you could say I had an epiphany, and I realized that I was the biggest bully in my life. And I went ahead and took charge of my life, and I began to study and train to become a professional coach. I've already done some speaking engagements. I'm heading to Vancouver at the end of the month to talk about overcoming with fear. And I think what's really cool is when you put it out there, to the world, to the universe, to God, your intentions, and they're in alignment with your soul, I believe big things happen because, about the time that I settled with the Veteran Affairs, I said I'd give anything to be able to go to Congress, Senate, and tell them that their whistleblowing laws are not protecting the people. And guess what? That happened. I was paid by Concerned Veterans for America. They're a large organization that, work to help veterans. And so I was in Bernie Sanders' office the day after he announced his running for the presidency. And I got to spend 3 days up there educating senators about protecting conscientious whistleblowers like myself. So that's a little bit about myself, Sheena.
Thank you so much, Dawn. And I love the fact that, you took something that was a horrific and you just made the decision to just be the change, right? If we want things to change, we have to realize we have to be the change, right? We have to go out there and fight for what we believe in, kind of like what you did, right? You believe that we have a voice. You went out there and just did it despite of all the stuff that's happened to you. So I really appreciate you sharing that and I didn't even know being in a mental ward for 3 days. That's crazy. But, I'm glad you shared that, right? Because some people need to realize that, it's not always about the glory. You got to hear the real story, what goes behind it and why you are where you are today. So I just have some questions for you. What's your cultural background?
Well, I'm Caucasian. And I guess, Westmoreland is an English name. A lot of our family's from England. And I have a little Polish in me. But, I'm Caucasian.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. And what would be your favorite self-confident quote?
You have to believe in yourself more than others believe in you. And the reason why I love that is because oftentimes people will see in you what you may not see in yourself. But the truth is, unless you believe in yourself, that'll keep you small and keep you hostage in your life from being the greatest you.
I agree with that. I believe that sometimes your own worst enemy is yourself, and we have to learn how to fight the inner voices in our head that tells us, you can't do it, you're not good enough. You got to tell it to just shut up and just go out there and make things happen, right? So I love that. In your own words, what would be your definition of self-confidence?
Well, self-confidence, again, is like believing in yourself. And I can tell you from my own experience, when I first started out, becoming a coach and an author, people don't just line up, to receive your services or to hear you on a radio show or, to have anything to do with you until you're more established, credible, and professional. So I know, for the past year and a half, I've been working on building myself up through, writing my book, getting out there on over 40 radio shows and magazine interviews. And so you may not see that you're building yourself up, but the thing is, behind the scenes, you are being built up, and you have to trust in that, because sometimes you'll write something, a blog or something on social media, and very few people respond. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, they come out of nowhere, and they send you a message and ask you, or they say, you have inspired me. I would like to be a coach. Could I talk to you? Or I'd like to hire you. So you have to trust that everything you're doing is going to work out for the highest good.
Thanks, Dawn. And I agree, right? Sometimes you just gotta keep on building it and believe in yourself, right? And because, there's no such thing really as overnight success. Anything that's overnight is really, people have been building it for the longest time, right? Sometimes for 2 years, 3 years, 10 years. And they just kept on building it and building it and building it. And that's when the people start coming to them because they see them doing it every single day, being consistent and persistent on their dreams. So, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
My life was pretty much that of a victim. I wrote about it in my book, and I talk about it when I go out speaking. I grew up in a dysfunctional family. My father left us and at a young age, and that was kind of a gift in itself because I realized he gave me the gift of independence. I, as a child, was molested by a trusted community member. And that definitely changed my life because it made me really insecure, not knowing it, at 6, 7 years old, that 1 out of 4 women are molested. It made me feel very disempowered. So I dealt with many, many years of insecurity over that, self-loathing, even though it wasn't my fault. And when you look through the lens of disempowerment, what happens is you attract that into your life. So, I dealt with childhood bullying, adult bullying. I married an alcoholic. A lot of things happened because I was in a different space, a different place, you could say. And I just only saw myself as a victim. So I brought in a lot of victim circumstances because of that. So it's once I really got that, epiphany, as I say, that third day in the mental health ward, I got to take a shower that day. And I looked in the mirror, and the person I saw, it was pitiful, and I didn't like that person. And I decided I'd never, ever allow myself to feel like a victim again. And it was when I took charge that everything changed. I had to take 100% charge of my life. That's when everything changed.
Thanks for sharing that. And it's so true, right? I mean, we attract what we think, right? And a lot of women out there who've been, molested, I apologize that happened to you, but they feel like it's always their fault that this happened when it's really not their fault to begin with. And it doesn't help when we have, certain laws that allow men to do that, right? I mean, not just in America. I mean, even in Asia and in Afghanistan, they treat women like, they're a piece of meat. And then they're at fault for something so horrific that happened to them. And this is how we start thinking of these bad things like, oh, maybe it was me. Maybe I did something wrong. That's why I was punished. No, right? I mean, things happen. You can realize it and take awareness of it and then use it to either empower you or disempower you. Am I correct, Dawn?
Oh, you are absolutely correct. And, I tell people, if you can see the gift or the silver lining in everything, then that's when you become more empowered, because I can tell you that going through that has made me have more empathy for others, and it's made me more of an advocate and humanitarian. And recently I went to a big conference, a women's conference in Dallas, and ironically I met another woman who also had went through childhood molestation, and today she works in human trafficking to stop it. So a lot of times, when we go through these rough situations, if we can see the gift in it, now, I can see that this lady and myself, we're doing more to help others that are going through it so they can get on the other side of empowerment.
I love that, and I'm a big supporter of ending like human trafficking, child marriages. Like, when I hear stories like that on YouTube or on the internet, it breaks my heart, and society doesn't help either when we tell women to say, be the good girl, don't make any noise, just, stand there and look pretty. And, we have to tell women out there, you have a voice. Go out there and speak your voice. You're here for a reason, right? Because the more we oppress women, the more these things are happening. I mean, the rates of human trafficking keep on going up, and it's 2015. How are we supposed to, empower women when we tell them to shut up or not say anything? So, I'm also a firm believer, like, we need to end things like this. And the only way to do that is to show women that they have a voice. They can stand up and be their own person, be able to change the world and be able to create their own income, and there's various ways we can do it. And this is why, I decided to do this podcast so that women out there who can listen to this, they can say, oh my God, right? This woman's story just helped me realize that I can do whatever I want if I just put my mind to it. So, Dawn, you mentioned that, being in the mental was your aha moment, and you realized, you looked in the mirror and you said, I'm never going back to this person again, right? What's your life like now after that realization or after that aha moment?
Well, it wasn't an easy flip. I didn't just go from disempowered to empowered overnight. As I said, I took 100% accountability of my life, because I realized a lot of the things I were attracted that were negative were my own fault because of my thinking. So I had to really reframe my thinking, and I had to look at all the gifts in my life through all these different things that I went through. My father leaving me at a young age. He gave me the gift of independence. All the other disempowerment. It taught me to be a humanitarian, to help others. So today my life is pretty good. It's pretty peaceful and very calm. I still have troubles at times. It's not like you magically become better. I just, I get to think each day, how am I going to live my life? Am I going to be a thriver, or, am I going to be a victim? Well, I don't want to be a victim. So today is pretty good. I would say I'm living my soul's purpose with great joy, because I'm getting out there, I'm speaking, I'm writing, I'm connecting with others. And this is the stuff that I love. I love seeing others get lifted too. So today it's a whole different world, and it's definitely a happier one.
I love that, right? Every day is a new day. Every day is a new beginning to start something new. For all the listeners out there, don't worry about the past. That's not your circumstances. You can always change your future in an instant. And I mean an instant. So Dawn, to the woman who's listening to your episode, listening to your story, being inspired, what would be the one tip you would give to the listener about their inner journey to self-confidence?
Well, you can't beat yourself up for your past. And I can tell you that I did that for many, many years. And that is the inner bully that's, taking charge of your life. And as I always say, it's not the molester. It's not the alcoholic husband. It's not the other bullies in my life that were the worst bullies. The worst bully was myself inside me that was telling me, you're not good enough. You don't deserve this. And that's that was the bully that I had to silence. So, every day you have to take different steps to become more empowered, to become more confident. And for every one of us, that's different. For me, I am an avid learner. I love learning. I've earned 4 degrees, and I'm always reading self-development books that will help me to, understand myself better, to understand my journey of spiritual enlightenment. So I would encourage anybody that's out there, don't beat yourself up for the mistakes that you feel you've made in your life, because I've certainly made plenty of mistakes in my life. It's, we act like that because of our consciousness, our awareness, where we're at. We do the best that we can with what we know, and so do other people. So the best thing is to learn from everything that happens in your life. Don't repeat things that are not good, and keep doing the things that empower yourself. Don't listen to that inner voice that will keep you small, because that inner voice is nothing but like a gremlin in you that's trying to protect you and keep you small. Let go of that gremlin and just let them know, that you've got it, that you can move forward, that you can do anything that you want to. The only person that's going to stop you is yourself.
That is great advice. And it's true, right? Our inner voice can really just screw up our minds a lot. And there was one interview that I did, and she said, you got to take the inner voices, put it in your hand, and squash it like the bug that it is. And I like that, right? Because it's just a bug. It's small, and you can squash it anytime. So, Dawn, if anyone wants your coaching services, where can they reach you? Or, if they would love to be in contact with you, is there a link or a website that we can go to or check out?
Yes, you can check out my website. My website is Dawn, just like the morning. That's my first name, Dawn Marie Westmoreland. That's WESTMORELAND.com. And then I have a contact form. I also offer a complimentary 20-minute coaching session with me. So if somebody's out there that's really wanting to find their voice, their strength and personal power, I would invite them to contact me and ask for that complimentary 20-minute session.
If you heard that, listeners, Dawn is offering a free 20-minute coaching consultation. So I would grab that. If someone's offering you something, take it. It's a gift, right? Take the gift. Be thankful for it, and check out her website. And if you want, you can head over to the Tao of Self-Confidence and search for Dawn's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about. And I just want to thank Dawn for taking her time to share her journey with you and the listeners out here. It's been an amazing time. Dawn, your story has even inspired me, right? Knowing where where you were and where you are now is a big change in your life. I can imagine, right?
Yeah, it is. Thanks, Sheena. I love telling my story. I love telling it because I think all of us have stories in our life, and it's important that we own our stories, not our stories own us.
That's so true. And to everyone who's listening to this, you do have a story out there that can inspire the world, that it can inspire at least one person who needs to hear it, right? They just need your story so that they can be inspired and go take their own action. So that's about it. Be on the lookout for another new episode of the Tao of Self-Confidence, and thanks for listening. I'll catch you later. Bye for now. Thank you for connecting with us on the Tao of Self-Confidence. Visit thetaoofselfconfidence.com for links to everything we chatted about, as well as killer resources, gifts, and so much more.